Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, my name is Seth, and as far as you're concerned, I'm from the internet. But in real life, I live in southern Mississippi. And in my almost 40 years of living and playing this homesteading game, I've ended up in a lot of conversations with like-minded folks about a bunch of different topics. But something that's not talked about enough is poop. Feces, barn biscuits, nature's nuggets, whatever you want to call it. Kind of a weird topic, I know, but it does lead to other beneficial conversations like the one we're going to have today, the loop system. Now, the loop system ain't anything new. It's as old as time as far as I know. And it didn't used to be called anything. But nowadays, everything has to have a name. But it's beneficial because now since it has a name, I can make a video about it. And the basis of it is this. You take your animal's manure to fertilize the plants that you and your animals eat. Whether it be cows, sheep, chickens, goats, horses, and especially rabbits. Rabbits are probably the best. That's the basis of the loop system. But there are a bunch of other extremely beneficial uses of manure that you may have not thought about, and some I may need your help with if you're more experienced in it than I am. One example of this process that we use here on this homestead today is the rabbit loop system. I'll call it that for the sake of the video. We take rabbit manure and fertilize the plants that the rabbits eat, like this cilantro. And we also spread it around our muscadine vines. And when it comes time to prune or do a summer trimming on our muscadines, all those cuttings go into the rabbit hutches and they make us more fertilizer. Like I said, this ain't anything special and it's as old as time, but when it's not practiced, it gets forgotten. It's important for me to note this fact. Our place is not a closed loop system, meaning this. I don't have enough manure to fertilize all the stuff that we're growing, and I'm not growing enough crops to support all the animals that we have. This is very much an open loop system. I do what I can with the time that I have, but I don't want to imply that I'm living cut off from the rest of the world. We still make the occasional trip to the feed store, and I still use store-bought fertilizer, like on our peas, for instance. We have almost a linear mile of peas planted in this field. There's 15 rows 300 foot long. That's about 4,500 linear feet of peas. And I simply don't have that much time or manure. Another weird kind of a loop you can find yourself in is using cow and horse manure in a big large container mixed with kitchen scraps to raise earthworms. You can then put your earthworms and their organic matter back into the garden to support better plant growth. Or you can take the worms and go fishing. After you clean the fish, you can bury the fish heads in the garden. There's not any rules to this, and the uses of manure is just about endless. One special process you can use with manure that I need your help with is making your own liquid fertilizer, or manure tea. You can take manure and put in a pillowcase or some other kind of mesh sack and put it down in a bucket and put water on it and let it set for a while, I'm guessing, and make your own organic liquid fertilizer. I know all the people that's out there watching this video, one of you is an expert at making manure tea. So I need you to put your manure tea recipe in the comments, and if it's a good, in-depth, descriptive comment of how you do it, I'll pin it where everybody can read it. Other than the smell of manure, there are a couple of things that you should probably know about before you go just spreading it out all over everything you've got. Number one, chicken manure is hot and it's kind of dangerous. It's got a lot of bad stuff in it that you may not want in your garden, like E. coli, salmonella, and a couple of other things. And something else, cow and horse manure often have viable seeds in them. So if you use that as an amendment for your garden soil, just know that there's probably going to be some weeds or grasses pop up. And the idea behind the loop system don't necessarily have to create a loop to increase efficiency. Main point I'm trying to get across in this video is this. Use the byproduct or the waste product of one thing to improve another thing. And that can be anything from using rabbit manure on cilantro or the muscadines like we do, to even sweeping up your grass clippings and feeding them to your cows or your goats, or if you're a horse person. I know we tend to be the type of people that try to recycle and reuse everything we can, but a lot of times we end up throwing away stuff that could be put to good use. I mean, you wouldn't believe the amount of people that live this kind of life that just throw their eggshells in the garbage can. Those can be ground up and given back to the chickens to make their eggshells stronger. And they can also be ground up and planted in the ground when you plant your tomatoes to prevent blossom end rot, since it's high in calcium, and blossom end rot is a calcium deficiency. Eggshells in the ground with your tomatoes prevent blossom end rot. Something else you can use to prevent blossom end rot on your tomatoes is the oyster shells that you're probably giving to your chickens so their eggshells will be stronger. That's calcium. If you really think about it, we throw a lot of stuff away that could be put to use somewhere else. What you're going to have to do is put a little thought to it and ask yourself, is it worth the time for what I'm going to get out of it in the end? Sometimes it is, most of the time it is, but sometimes it's not. On another note, our family subscriber map is growing. If you're a new subscriber and want to be represented on our map, just let me know where you're from and I'll get a pin stuck in your location. If you're vague with your location, like West Texas, you go on this map. But if you're in the US in particular, you get put on this one. I'll try to scan over this whole thing just to show you that I'm being as accurate as possible with your location. Even if your town ain't on the map, I use Google Maps and put the pin as close as I can to where you're at. I don't have names or anything tied to this. It's just a visual representation of where we all are in the world. And I really didn't think it would take as long as it does, but some of y'all live in the middle of nowhere and Google has a hard time finding you. But I'm committed. I said I would do it, so I'm doing it. Every one of you that have commented your location in the past, I've already got you on here. From the US to Australia and everywhere in between. That's all I got for you today. God bless. We'll see you on the next one.